Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. More Spec Corvette racing action coming to you from Sonoma Raceway out here in California. It is the Superstition at Sonoma, sponsored by Superstition Meadery. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. James Watson. And we have Kevin Jones, unfortunately, in the booth with us today, but we'll talk to that one. We'll make that joke run for at least a moment here. First, let's go down grid side. John Wynn's out there. He's got the grid girls. And, John, what's going on out there today, buddy?
Hey, we're just walking the grid here. We got a bunch of Corvettes, and we're going to be walking down here. The cars are ready to roll, so the girls are walking down, having a great time this weekend. We had the Superstition Meadery tasting last night, which the girls were nice enough to stay and serve. So now we have some Corvette racing going on. So the qualifying grid today was set by fastest lap time on the qualifying race, and we're going from there now. So.
Well,
No,
I say let's.
So anyways, sorry, somebody just asked me a question on grid, but we're heading to the front here. Should be a really good race. We got the 3-minute mark right now. So qualifying in P1 is David Holmes, running a super nice fast lap time today, and he's going to set the grid. And he's been doing killer this weekend. This is a great weekend for Dave Holmes. The best I've seen him run, really. So kudos to him on all the work that he's done. And he's ahead of the ABI team with Tim Mosier. Again, yesterday setting fastest lap record of Sonoma, minute 45.6. And that would set the newest Spec Corvette lap time at Sonoma. So he holds that record now. So the car's got the 1-minute mark, and they're just about to go out. And we have the girls here hanging out with us. The car's giving him a wave goodbye as soon as they start heading out.
All right, John. Well, thank you very much. We've got the starting grid up on the screen here. And, Kevin, unfortunately, you were in yesterday's race, losing a motor after you had some transmission issues in the practice day on Friday. It's been a weekend out there at Sonoma for you, brother. But, hey, it means we get to have you in the booth here. We're grateful for that. Well, at least I thought Kevin could hear us anyway, but we'll bring Kevin Jones in here in just a moment. Let me first make sure he's actually getting the audio from us here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So you got a chance to see the grid here. James Watson will bring you in here as well. You've been around these for quite a long time, and actually even getting to drive some of these cars. What's the big one that you think about here, James, as we get ready to roll and we see the cars pulling off here onto the racing surface? Sonoma Raceway, kind of home to you. That this place is going to be fun.
Yeah, it mostly factors into just trying to keep the car on the track. It's not an easy thing to do because of all the elevation change, off-camber corners. So because of that, if you're not careful, you can easily just send it off into the very, very dead grass next to the track.
Yes, the very, very dead grass. Let's see here. I think, Kevin, we do have your mic hot here, so feel free to jump in at any time. But we were saying, kind of a bit of a hard weekend for you here.
Yeah, it's not my favorite way to watch a race, that's for sure. I'd rather be in the driver's seat, but it is racing, so that's what you get, right?
Well, it's at the very least, it's a good start to the weekend here, or at least a good finish to the weekend to have you in the booth here after some early troubles Friday with the transmission, losing an engine yesterday. Hopefully, we're going to see you out here on the grid when we come back here in just a few weeks.
Well, when I blew the engine and I was sitting off the track, I've got a spare engine at home, and I was thinking, logistically, I could probably get that engine in the car and be on track on Sunday. And then I thought, sometimes you just got to know when to quit digging. And I think
yeah, I will definitely give you that. We're looking at a fun one here today, James, because we'll come back to you for this one. Downhill through the carousel. It's got a short blast down kind of the top end of the drag strip, and then you're back through another double apex set of corners that you've absolutely got to get spot on perfect, because then it's leading you into the S's and really a place that you want to carry a ton of speed through.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily
it's,
one of those
if you don't nail
real
that, you're paying a penalty
areas.
through that whole back section.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Yeah, it's not necessarily one of those real problem areas because of the fact that it's not super easy to pass through the S's. If you screw up the exit of the hairpins down at the end of the drag strip, you can get away with it because there's not a whole lot the car behind can do without being super aggressive. Really, the places you gotta be careful is exit of the carousel and down here in turn 10, leading into the really big braking zone.
Yeah, I think one of the big keys we're going to see here, we're coming up to a spot that we watched AP Miranda go full jet club yesterday, 4 wheels off the ground into this final hairpin, and it was impressive. The guys on the front row, Tim Moser, David Holmes, within a 1/10 of a second at the finish. It was a drag race side-by-side for the win in the qualifying race. I think we might get to see some of that over the next 30 minutes here today as we will see the Sonoma Raceway safety car make a hard right-hand turn out into the old infield. They used to pit NASCAR Cup Series cars here before they expanded the pit lane. But now the field getting ready to come down. We're going to take a look here as they come off. Pick us up, John Wynn. We're going green here at Sonoma. Pick up on board with Josh Carroll as he's trying to chase down Tim Moser. There, go on board now with AP Miranda. It's going to be Moser, followed by, it looks like, Josh Carroll, I think. Then the 71 of David Holmes, AP Miranda up in the 4th position. First time through here, Kevin, does it get a little bit spicy here when the tires aren't totally up to temp yet and trying to make them grip up?
I can say with experience that wall is a place that your car will end up if you get too aggressive on throttle on that outlap. I can say that with experience.
Well, and then James here, they're going to double their way back. First time down through the S's. We saw this a little bit yesterday. Everybody started to get spaced out. Tim Moser was just gone. He was checked out at the front. But the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, it was almost like the driving style fit certain points of the racetrack. And AP Miranda, David Holmes, Josh Carroll was up there for a little bit. Just a wild show in the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th through most of this race. As we'll go on board here with Carroll trying to chase down Moser out of that final corner.
Because that was the exact opposite. Josh made up a lot of time through the second half of the S's and was able to get right up on the bumper at Tim.
Man, he's carried a ton of speed up the hill into turn 2. Oh, there's contact! Big shot, Carroll! Way into the back bumper of Tim Moser.
The wrong time to take a drink. Good God.
You ain't kidding, Kevin. That's not something that series officials look real kindly on.
No, but there was not a loss of position for Tim, so that's I wouldn't say that's fair play, but that could have been a lot worse. I'm sure Tim's experience kept him on the track on that one.
Yeah, just trying to rattle his cage a little bit, I guess.
I think Josh might have given the position back because it looked like Josh was ahead after that and then just let Tim back because he knew that it wasn't the best pass, quote unquote, and he didn't want to deal with the penalty.
Well, and that kind of, if anything, if I'm Josh Carroll, it kind of makes me a little bit nervous, Kevin, because you go from, I know how I want to carry speed around the racetrack, and all of a sudden, this guy in front of me might be slower than me there.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity. We'll see in the next couple laps. Josh will definitely be taking notes in his head and studying Tim, and he'll put together a strategy for sure.
Well, let's see.
He's on the outside.
He's going to try the crossover here out of 11.
I'm surprised to see Tim taking a defensive line like that going into 11 already.
Yeah,
Man,
I think Tim kind of seeing the writing on the wall here, at least in the early going.
Well, and there was a change in the results from yesterday's race. Tim Moser was penalized for jumping the start. That gave the win to David Holmes. And then we also had AP Miranda, who was disqualified for having basically an adjustable component in the rear end of the car, adding a little bit more camber. So you almost have to think if you had something that was a little bit screwy at times, you know, it's a little bit maybe not totally kosher, you got that out of the car last night while you guys were out sampling the meadery down there.
For sure, yes.
We'll go back on board here with AP Miranda now because, James, one of the things that I noticed watching the race yesterday, the tires really seemed like they started to go off. I don't know if it was just the suspension geometry was not playing nice or what, but it seemed like everybody was having issues. Josh Carroll was slipping and sliding, and these Nankang tires are really good, but they are a street tire that you can't totally beat the living crap out of all the time.
Yeah, and Sonoma's difficult in that standpoint because you have such a big mix of corners. You got a lot of high-speed corners, medium-speed corners, low-speed corners. So the tires are kind of dealing with anything and everything here. So if you're not careful, especially if you're trying to beat the heck out of the car, going for the lead of the race, they're not going to be able to put up with that for long.
Oh, once again, Carroll carrying a ton of speed up the hill. Man, his hand's pretty solid there too, Kevin. That's tough to do, to carry a lot of speed and keep the car going the direction you want it to.
Yeah, that's a place where I'm lacking in skill, as that's a big place to make up a lot of time is up the hill out of one. That is a difficult place to get the car over to the left, setting up for two.
And now the fun part starts, James. We're catching lap traffic.
Yeah, this is not a track you want to deal with a lot of lap traffic. This place is narrow. There's not a whole lot of passing opportunities. So you can lose seconds of time if you cannot get a good break where you catch the lap traffic.
That was an interesting line there. Oh, go ahead, James.
Well, it's funny that we're talking about lines and all that. It seems that Tim is a lot better through the first half of the track, and then in the downhill sections around the S's, Josh seems to make up a lot of time. And I noticed going into turn 2, you can see that Tim takes a bit of a wider entry and is able to cut in and get on the throttle a lot sooner, where Josh kind of turns in earlier and he's having to wait to get onto the throttle, which is losing him a good bit of time on Tim.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing a little bit up the hill here. Josh is really, really aggressive on the uphill.
Yeah, see how early he turns in? That's losing him a good bit of time right there. Because you can see Tim start to pull away right after that.
Well, and Kevin, you can speak to this, having been out here yesterday. It is, sometimes you have to back the corner up to go faster, but that's not always going to put you in a position to execute a pass later on in the racetrack.
No, and when you're in the thick of things, you know, you're trying to set up the guy in front of you, but you got to be aware of the guy behind you too, you know.
Well, yeah, especially in this case here, as we'll flip over and go on board with AP Miranda, you can see the lead cars are sort of spaced out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, a fair gap amongst them.
Yeah, it looks like a waiting game with these guys at this point. I know they're all driving at the top of their game, and it's just, you know, you hate to say you're waiting for someone else to make a mistake, but it might be the case right now.
Well, yeah, we just saw a little bit of a mistake there out of AP Miranda. That car, full four-wheel slide. Tim Moser doing a nice job here at the front of the field. Ole Thorderson, the other onboard camera we have, we'll pick up here briefly with Ole. And all of these onboards today, courtesy of the Sentinel onboard system that a lot of these drivers are carrying. This is game-changing in the world of broadcasting these races, because just about every car in the field we could put cameras on at this point now. And we got to say a huge thank you to all the drivers that have made that commitment. 5 laps into this race, 9 minutes and 5 seconds in. Big lockup for Moser. Wow. Big lockup out of 2, but Carroll not able to do anything with it.
No, but that gained him so much time. That gained him like a second. Tim was starting to pull away a little bit, but this brings Josh right back up. Oh, another lockup.
You gotta wonder, Kevin, are they abusing the brakes here? Is that what you're seeing? Kevin, it looks like we may have lost your mic here. Hold on a second. There we go. Now we got you turned back on. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm Josh Carroll right now, I'm seeing the blood in the water. That's a sign that things are getting a little out of hand, and there's an opportunity to come.
Yeah, he's going to carry a ton of speed there through that double apex right-hander. And it's bringing David Holmes back into the conversation as well. Peek up in the upper right-hand corner. You can see the camera view out the back of Josh Carroll's race car. The top 3 are now all within, I would say, about 1.5 seconds of each other.
He did not catch a good break for lap traffic. He got stuck behind that. I think it's the Integra for almost all the S's. That cost him so much time.
And Tim Moser locking the brakes up again there into turn 11. Oh, and now he's going to catch the lap traffic.
Ooh.
Catch
scary.
one of the little guys. Oh, as we may have trouble for Ole Thorderson. Ole getting past. That looked like by the one of Mike Cheney coming around. That's going to drop Ole back to the 6th position. Mike Cheney moves up to position number 5 as we hold on to the battle for the lead.
Ooh.
Man, you can almost see the back of the car start to slip out. Is that like desirable slip angle, or is that the back end of the car is starting to come around on them?
You want that slip angle, and the back end will squat and step out a little bit, but yeah, you're riding a fine line with getting squirrely, and man, looks like Josh is he's all over Tim.
Well, and James, whether it's the real world or the virtual world, applying pressure is sometimes the best way to get around a guy. You don't have to actually make the pass. You let them make the mistake. They're right up behind a BMW. Carroll's going to get a great run through the S's. Side by side, he's got to back out of it.
I couldn't quite get the crossover. That's going to cost him a lot of time.
Yep, there you go. We heard it from John Winters right as we cut to his camera. Dave's in the mix as well.
I'm still thinking he's taken a lot of early entries into a lot of the corners. And like I said earlier, it's just screwing him on the exit. Like another place I've noticed it really bad, you'll see it in the carousel. Like he turns in early, and he's having to wait to get on the throttle, where Tim's taking that late apex, and he's able to carry a lot more speed off.
Well, and now, Kevin, we just saw a couple of laps ago, the gap was 1.6 seconds between Tim Moser and David Holmes to third. It's now 1.6 seconds to the top four. Holmes is all over the back end of Carroll. In fact, he's going to make the move on him. Put David Holmes up to position number 2. Oh, what a bad spot to catch a Miata. Oh, big slide that time for Carroll. May have been some contact from AP Miranda.
I don't think so. I think Josh just got a little squirrely.
Carroll absolutely fighting for positions out here. That's allowed Tim Moser to check out here. This is going to be a pretty sizable gap now between first and second. David Holmes now running in that second position. Josh Carroll third. AP Miranda holds on to fourth. 3 completely different lines through turn 11 that time. Holmes a little bit, almost half a car width off the outside. Carroll a little bit tighter, a little bit closer to the wall on exit.
Yeah, I think Josh might be in trouble here. Oh. Ooh.
Oh, gosh, they are sliding all over the place. And we're only to the halfway point of this thing. 14 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. Oh, it's big time lap traffic now. Oh, man. Both of these cars getting squirrely at the back end. Kevin, so hard to be patient through this carousel. You know you have more power, you know you have more tire, more everything than most of these slower cars out here, and you just have to say, nope, can't get it. Nope, not here.
Yeah, it is a waiting game, and oh man, there goes AP around Josh.
Got it. Nice move.
Right up the inside.
And now David Holmes caught up in that lap traffic. And the hard part there, you want to carry a lot of speed out of that corner, and you just can't do it. You're either going to be rear-ending the guy in front of you or rear-ending a BMW that's in a different class. That's the hard part for these guys. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, playing the waiting game and timing your moves through that back section and those S's can pay dividends with getting through and leaving the guy behind you in the dust.
And now AP as they come up the hill. This one's starting to get a little interesting here with David Holmes, and they're closing back up on Tim Moser. The gap went from 1.8 to 1.6 seconds back as Holmes set a new fastest lap of the race, 146.110. They're running qualifying times out here, James. That's a lot to ask. You go out for qualifying, it's a 15-minute session. Oh, one going around. Holmes is around. Moser's off the racetrack.
Wow.
So now we're going back on board with Josh Carroll. David Holmes spun off the racetrack. Holmes was a spin. And now it looks like it's going to be the 7-Eleven of AP Miranda at the front of the field. Okay, nope, still Tim Moser at the front, but David Holmes was off the racetrack. We'll have to see where he may come back out in the running order. There you go. Just got a brief glimpse of Moser just up ahead of AP Miranda and Josh Carroll. But now this is the battle for P2. And Kevin, if you think about it, this could be a battle for the win if Tim's ABS system and brakes are having issues.
Yeah, and more aggressive. AP is an aggressive driver, and if he's overheating his tires, I mean, Josh could be just sitting back there waiting to see if Tim has a problem and AP's tires fall off, then it's going to be really tight at the end.
Seeing another car going off, that was a different class car that had an off track there at the top of the hill. So it's going to be Moser, Miranda, and Carroll, the top three. Holmes back to the 4th position, but he's now 14 seconds behind your race leader.
Oh, wow, that lap car really didn't make things easy.
No, made life very, very difficult for AP Miranda there. And now may be doing the same thing here to Josh Carroll. Because catching a Volkswagen or a BMW through the S's is not really ideal here. As we are going to be down to 10 minutes remaining here in about 30 seconds or so. Still Moser, Miranda, Carroll, Holmes, Cheney, the top 5. Only Thorderson running in the 6th position. Donnie York in 7th. Evan Gold in 8th. Big move! Tim Moser. AP Miranda coming past. And what do you think there, Kevin? Maybe a little bit of a back off by Moser into turn 11 there?
You know, if his ABS is acting up, he might be backing up his brake zones, and that's what's going to give that opportunity.
It almost sounds like he's having to kind of grab the brakes a hair early. Really using up the curbs.
Speaking of using up the curves, kind of a rough last few corners for AP.
Well, how about this side-by-side battle between the one of Mike Cheney and Ole Thorderson? This is the fight for 5th.
I will say it's kind of shocking to see Ole down here. You know, we're used to him battling up for the win. So, weird to see him this far down the order.
Oh, what a save by Ole. Good Lord. That's getting after it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, God, he's in a hornet's nest. My goodness. Oh, God. ST3, ST5 cars going 3-1. Oh, and Ole's off the racetrack. Oh, my goodness. That was Ole taking the escape road. No thanks, just go. I don't want to play with you today.
Like, all right, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, that's it. I'm out. See ya. Oh, pick up one car. Yeah, there was somebody off track just ahead of the race leaders. AP Miranda and Tim Moser. So let's swap back here and go on board with Josh Carroll a little bit here, because you can see the gap between the leaders is holding steady. But the more cars we get off track here, Kevin, the more dust and dirt and everything else they're carrying back onto the racetrack. If you've got a pure slick, you can kind of burn that off pretty quickly. If you're running a street tire like these guys are, you've really got to be careful of what you run over out there on the racing surface.
Dirt and gravel, it's the next corner, you're really questioning whether or not how hard you want to try and make that car stick, because you don't know the condition your tires are in or how much grip they have.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a fun watch here down the stretches. The leaders are catching lap traffic. Some of our other guys are running through lap traffic from other classes, and obviously Ole, I think, James, to your point, you said surprised to see him down here. It almost is like Ole's a little down on power as well.
Yeah, this is very much not the Ole that we're accustomed to. Like, we've seen him dominate here before.
Well, and also, these cars are quick enough that you're not getting passed by an ST5 unless you're having a problem of some sort. So now AP Miranda continues to hold the race lead with 24 minutes complete. Tim Moser second, about a half second back. Josh Carroll runs third, 2.2 seconds behind the race leader. David Holmes still holding the fastest lap of the race. He's up in the fourth position, but not really making up any ground after a big spin and off-track excursion. Moser carried a ton of speed that time. Into turn 7, that double apex. It does feel like he's not late back to the throttle, Kevin, but there's not a whole lot of incentive for Tim Moser to be trying to beat the rear bumper off of AP Miranda.
You know, it's a team strategy, and they're in P1 and P2, and that's just fine with them, I'm sure.
So 5 minutes remain on the clock. That means we should be down to about 2 laps to go this time by. When the clock expires, we will see the checkered flag. That's the way. Actually, we're going to see it this time by. 25 minutes down, 25 minutes completed. AP Miranda will get the win at Sonoma in race number 2. I guess a 25-minute race is what we were going for today. 0.6 of a second over Tim Moser. Josh Carroll coming home third, and David Holmes in the fourth position. Go on board with Ole Thorderson as he will come over and see the checkered flag. Fifth belongs to Mike Cheney, sixth Ole Thorderson. Seventh today looks like it will be Donnie York, followed by Evan Gold. But a big weekend here for the Aviati Jet Club team. Tim Moser picking up a second place finish yesterday after really dominating a race off the front row and picking up a time penalty. But we'll go on board now with your race winner, AP Miranda, as he will come around to complete the victory lap. And Kevin, this is something maybe you don't want to speak to today, but the reliability of these cars is really pretty darn good. We saw potential braking issues. We saw tires that didn't want to cooperate. And ultimately, it looks like every car that started today's race was able to make it to the finish, and that's a testament to the spec nature of this series.
The problems I've had are half, induced by myself, and the engine that popped was, 2.5 years old on a rebuilt I did in my garage. So it's not out of the question, but yeah, for the most part, these things just run.
Yeah, and James, we got a fantastic race out of these guys today. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see the one yesterday, but just once again, Spec Corvette puts on an incredible show, and these guys are just rock stars.
Yeah, it was really entertaining to watch. There's a lot of coming and goers. A lot of great passing, which it's not always easy to see. Passing can be a bit of a premium here, but we saw some really good moves.
Yeah, we saw a whole lot, quite frankly, today that we got to say a big thank you to everybody who makes these broadcasts possible here on the National Racing Network. Thank you very much to G-Stream, one of the presenting partners of the Spec Corvette series, doing a lot of the aerodynamic work, along with Improved Racing, Penske Racing Shocks, Sparco, TPS Motorsports, Track Spec Motorsports, Turn 1 Steering Components, Willwood Brakes, and the presenting sponsor of the Spec Corvette series, Nankang Motorsport Tire. Thank you all very much for your support of this weekend's Superstition Meadery event at the Sonoma Raceway. All in all, a fantastic show all the way around by these guys. Have to say a huge thank you to Kevin for coming up into the booth with us this weekend. Also, James Watson, big thank you to you for coming in today on a day off for you, buddy. We appreciate it. And thank you very much to the drivers who let us into their offices as well. That's not always the easiest thing to do, is say, yeah, point a camera at me and let me go to town here. But we appreciate all of you guys making these shows work for us as well. But with that, it's going to be time for us to get the heck on out of here. Fantastic show, as always. On behalf of everybody here at the National Racing Network, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.